The year was 1953. Rival studios waging war over which science fiction pick would be #1. If they were doing a thing like that in 1953, I don't know. But this is how this is going to work. I had a little bit of a sci-fi day the other day, and I realized that I had not watched either of these on 4K. I had them, but I had not opened them or watched them, so I had to rectify that situation immediately, and that's what led me to this video today. On this video, obviously you clicked on it, you know we're going to be talking about It Came from Outer Space, but I wanted to talk about both of these, but I didn't want to clog, YouTube and the algorithm. That's why I have the other sources I have. So over on the Patreon, we're going to be talking about War of the World. So if you want to check out my review for that, click on the link in the description below and go check out the Patreon. Low is $2 a month. You can check out my extra reviews and stuff we do there. So War of the Worlds will be over there. And let's get into It Came from Outer Space. Growing up, I loved 50s science fiction. I was a huge fan of it. I love Star Trek, but I also love horror. So they are closely combined, just like metal, I think a lot of science fiction and horror people also like metal music. It's just, it all coalesces together. It's synergy. Anyway, I love It Came from Outer Space. I remember watching this as a kid and I fell in love with it. And this release, I don't know why I never watched it. I think it just gets buried, and then obviously my channel is horror focused like 90% of the time, so it just fell through the cracks. But when I was reorganizing to make space on my shelves, as you can probably see here if you've watched a lot of my videos, I just made space for all the movies that I will get or might get or that are coming, so I had to readjust. But anyway, so I found this and I found that and I was like, oh my god, I haven't even opened these. Let's watch these. So I had a sci-fi day the other day and I love this movie, and the counter to this is I was watching a little bit with my wife in the living room and she was like, if you want me to go to sleep, which she does already, she already does that anyway, just put on a movie like this. And we were actually watching War of the Worlds, but she was watching a little bit of this. So, that's just the difference in, I think, a lot of people. Sometimes, 50s movies that are black and white just put people to sleep. For me and you, or you're watching this if you like this, we just, it's what makes the day. It's awesome, basic science fiction. There's no like overtones of anything. It's just good old-fashioned science fiction, and that's why I love it. But I'm going to show this off real quick. It Came from Outer Space. I love this cover. It's so great. Universal has done a fantastic job with all of their black and white stuff. In my opinion, I recently covered the Universal Monsters like limited edition set, so I'll link that up below so you can check that out because that's awesome. I love all of those. But this is another standout. So let's get into this transfer. This is a 4K transfer. It does have HDR10. Obviously, it's in black and white, so there's not going to be any pops of highlights, but the black and white does pop a little bit more. And on the audio front, we have a DTS HD 3.0 track. So, you have that separate track for the audio, which is always a blessing sometimes with these older films, which I do like. Again, this review is going to be a little different because it's an older one. We're not going to do charts and graphs or ratings or anything like that. We're just going to talk about the movie because I love this movie a lot and I just kind of want to talk about it. So, on the picture front, the only negative, which I want to get out of the way, is that because of what the technology was at the time, they were using different cameras for the indoor scenes and the outdoor scenes, and sometimes all of the in-between. There is a bit of a difference, which you'll notice basically in the very beginning of the movie, because you've got John Putnam and his fiancée outside stargazing. They're inside. The inside shots are incredible. The grain is so finely detailed and resolves very nicely. On the outdoor shots, it's a little bit softer, but again, it still looks fantastic and way better than anything we've seen. Black and white just has a thing with 4K. I don't know what it is. I wish I could explain it, but it just looks so good. I'm sure there are more technical-minded people out there that can actually explain why 4K looks so good. Black and white looks so good in 4K. But it just resolves so nicely, especially here. You can see all the fine detail. It just is crystal clear. It looks like it was almost shot today in some of these scenes where you're just like, okay, this is a movie that's just in black and white. It's just so clean, but it doesn't look overly like DNR'd or anything like that. It's just a good image. On the audio front, it sounds fantastic. Obviously 3.0 tracks, all the dialogue is crystal clear. You're still getting a lot, so they've done and updated as much as they could. Everything is audible and very clean. But let's talk about the movie for a minute. You know, this is a must pick up. If you love 50s science fiction or just science fiction as a whole, then, you know, this is a Ray Bradbury story, and I love every minute of this movie. It can be a slow burn now in the year of 2024, but for me, it just takes me back to my childhood, a simpler time where we're just like, the biggest, you know, revelation in this movie, spoilers if you've never seen this movie, I think we could, it's like 70 years, okay, you can handle the spoilers, is that they're basically taking form of these so they can like maneuver throughout the city while they're fixing their ship. Nobody believes John, you know, he's just a little crackpot because he saw a little Martian man. It's fun banter. His fiancée is the only one that kind of believes him. You know, I think there's a little bit of there's like, am I engaged to a madman? He is trying his best to get the people of this town to believe that there is a ship buried under this landslide and it's not just a meteor. And eventually, obviously, they do come around once they see that people go missing. Strange things are happening and people turn out to look like them. So it all culminates in a satisfying ending where obviously our Martian aliens do get away, but there's some conflict there. He's just trying to save his fiancée. They end up destroying some and then they get away. So I love this movie. It's so great. I highly recommend that you pick up this release. You know, what other science fiction movies do you love that have been ported to 4K that you think I would love? There's just so much good stuff in here. Same with World of Worlds that I just love it. Now, I do prefer the black and white look. I know there's a lot of these movies that, and this does have a colored version, which I don't really like. I like the black and white version. World of Worlds is in color. It's got that Technicolor look to it. So there is a nostalgia to that Technicolor look where it's got that kind of pastel look. I do like it in some films. It doesn't bother me in World of Worlds. Just when it comes to outer space, holds such a, you know, a soft spot in my heart that I love the black and white version. And again, I just love black and white science fiction. It's so good. I wish, you know, sci-fi was this. All we have now are these really big budget sci-fi, which are very far and few between. We've got Denis Villeneuve doing his thing with Dune. I'm excited for Dune 2. I like Dune 1. You know, we've got our occasional like dreads and stuff like that, or more cyberpunk type stuff. I really just like your traditional 50s science fiction, and this was a great day where I got to sit down and watch both of these. So I'm going to scour and see if I can find anything else. You know, these two huge studios have such a catalog of great science fiction that I wish they would release. It's not necessarily a format thing or a Blu-ray. I just think this stuff looks incredible in 4K, and I think they did it justice, and I'd be happy to see what else they're doing or going to do in the future. It just, like I said, it warmed my heart. I love this movie, and I hope you love it if you pick it up as much as I do. But again, that's pretty much all I've got. Thanks for stopping by and going down memory lane with me a little bit when we're talking about It Came from Outer Space. So again, this comes to us from Universal. I think this is about $20 to $22 now. So it's not like outrageous or unreasonable. So I think you should check it out. If you do, let me know down in the comments below what you think about it. What do you think about World of the Worlds? Like I said, all of that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, become part of the collective. We do a lot of here, horror, non-horror. We've got a lot of stuff coming up in rounding out February, going into March. A lot of cool stuff going into March. But that's all I've got. I'm going to link some videos for you at the end as always, and I'll talk to you guys in my next 4K review.